Welcome back to Executive Class. This time we take a look at cars, iconic models that have managed to retain much of their original design and function through the years. Models that remain extremely popular despite the newer designs out there. Newer designs such as these.
It often makes me wonder why, with so many newer, sleeker, safer, and smarter vehicles like the all-new GLB from Mercedes-Benz, many still choose cars that remind them of their childhood, whether it's vintage or the latest model of the original classic.
Okay, let me just configure this app. Indeed, cars these days are really more like computers on wheels. The advanced computer system inside does pretty much all the heavy lifting for the driver. And although cars like the Mercedes-Benz GLB, this one still requires a driver behind the wheel, well, the user experience is more like, well, I would say, like using a smartphone or a tablet. It's even got an LED panel, voice commands, a touch screen, and a touchpad.
Cars like the all-new GLB, after all, are practically plug-and-play, without any of the roughness, the pollution, the noise, and the general unpredictability of the cars I drove while coming of age in the 80s. In short, there's hardly anything not to love about Mercedes-Benz's new compact SUV. Built to accommodate 7 passengers if needed, it's super practical. The drive is effortless and the handling stable. The engine, powerful, yet quiet and economical. And kitted out with AMG styling, it's quite handsome as well. And since it's a Mercedes-Benz, you feel confident about its safety record and superior build quality. Indeed, a car that's made to last, just like the legendary predecessor of this baby, the granddaddy of the G series, of which I'm taking the GLB to visit on the rooftop parking lot of a friend's building. The sound alone is riveting. So too is the look of the G-Class approaching. It's almost like panzer tanks rumbling towards me. Even the ground is shaking. Willkommen. Say welcome to the G-Class, representing 2 generations of the legendary 4x4 off-roader built in a special factory in Austria since 1979. On the left in black, the previous model G500, and on the right, the latest one, the G350D in white. Too bad we weren't able to assemble the different models of the G-Classes over a 40-year lifespan. But hey, since the design has hardly changed, they look the same no matter what year they were made.
How would you describe the look and how little or how much it's changed over the years?
Very little. In fact, this one is just about 6 years, 7 years older than the new one. But just before that came out, this is how the 1970s car looked. Exactly the same. This one is basically, if you look at it, it looks the same, but on steroids.
Most SUVs these days have a lot of curves, and that's to make the cars more aerodynamic and of course to make them look more modern and sexier. But the G-Class has kept its characteristic boxiness. Does it look outdated? I don't think so. In fact, I think it's really cool and one of the best selling points of this vehicle.
Of course, the G-Class's iconic design is a big plus for collectors. What more so is its ability to conquer the harshest terrain and weather conditions on the planet.
This basically is made the same way it was made in 1979. The thickness of the suspension parts, for example, it's 3 times how a current production car is made.
So even if the design of the G-Class has been widely copied, none can get close to its tank-like build quality and off-road capability. And that's what makes it so expensive and legendary.
Yes, definitely. If you've owned one, you really feel that it's indestructible. You sit anywhere on the road, off-road, you feel that it'll last forever.
No surprise, the G-Class goes by the hashtag stronger than time. It probably is, even if most owners will never take it to the extremes to find out for themselves.
A lot of the purists are freaking out about the fact that the G-Class is now the preferred vehicle for celebrities and rappers and billionaires rather than pure off-roaders. But let's not forget the fact as well that at the heart of the G-Class is this off-road system, a highly advanced off-road system that in many ways remains the same.
Indeed, even if the interiors have been luxed up considerably with creature comforts and the suspension re-engineered for smoother city driving, the vehicle's tough ladder chassis, its 3 locking differentials, and low-range gearbox remain the heart of the G-Class. It's a pity most end up as garage queens because off-roading is its reason for being, as I found out for myself while riding shotgun across the Arabian desert at high speed, over sand dunes as high as buildings. Of course, a number of modified 4x4s can crash the dunes as confidently, but few vehicles are able to take as much abuse from nature and still make you feel comfortable in your seat. And yes, look so gorgeous with sand all over it. Though if there is any other 4x4 that comes close to the G-Class in looks, ability, and collectability, it's the Land Rover Defender, which has an even longer history behind it.
The Defender is one of the most ageless and recognizable silhouettes out there, but there's much more to its iconic design. Indeed, the reason for its popularity and iconic status is that it was meant to do what it was built for, to withstand the elements. And that's why I really admire owners who push their Defenders to the limit. In fact, the more weathered the car looks, the better.
Defenders like my friend and off-road enthusiast Tiny de Guzman's 110 series from 2002 are, as far as Defenders go, as classic as they get. Of course, there are collectors who paint and accessorize their Defenders to get that cool vintage look. Tiny's, however, is unadorned. No bells, no whistles, just the essentials, like steel rims, mud tires, and a spare, to help him drive anywhere the road, or lack of it, takes him.
But tell me, for someone who actually drives this hard and drives it everywhere, it's more than just feeling cool inside, right? Looking cool.
Yeah, because you really don't feel cool inside if the aircon's not good. But knowing what it can do, and if you know how to drive it properly, it'll bring you the satisfaction that you're looking for. The lesser complications, the easier to fix or simpler.
There's a reason for keeping it simple. When you're driving through terrain like he does, you wouldn't want mud or flood water messing up your fancy interiors. And if ever you're stuck in the middle of nowhere, you'll want a car that can be repaired with basic tools on the spot. The classic Defender doesn't have any high-tech features. Ironically, that's what drivers love about it.
This one is quite reactionary because the road feel. That's what they say. And this is, you feel it. You know, you feel the bump. It's hard, but it's nice. And you feel the sound and you hear it. So the pull with the engine, it pulls, but it's not that powerful, but you know, and you can gauge, and then you can make timpla, as you would probably say.
Explain that, because that's really the key, no? About a car that you feel. When you feel the road, you feel every bump. And I'm thinking, why would I want a car where I feel every bump?
Technical safety issue, of course, so you don't veer away, you don't get to an accident.
If Tiny didn't actually drive his Defender to the extremes, I'd probably think he was just being nostalgic, or a hipster. Because as I discovered while off-roading in the rocky Negev desert, professional drivers prefer to rely on experience and knowledge of the terrain, rather than a computer controlling things. They'd rather opt for a bare-bones vehicle that gets the job done, than worry about comfort and luxury. But not everyone is as skillful at driving, or as dedicated to the purity of the off-road experience as Tiny. Most are, I think, lazy like me, and look for comfort and luxury.
For anyone who's fallen in love with the rugged looks and boxy styling of the classic Defender, the all-new 110 may come as a shock. I mean, everything just seems more sophisticated and really more expensive. Some might even say there's so little that resembles the original. But before we start complaining about gentrification, let's not forget who the original owners of the classic Defender were. These were urban aristocrats and the landed gentry. So I'm keeping an open mind. Let's try it.
Okay, this isn't quite the extremes a new Defender was built for. but with travel still restricted to within the NCR Plus bubble. This is as off-road as I could find on short notice, though still rougher than most buyers of a new 110 will probably go through on a daily basis. Before driving it any further around the muddy grounds in Calamba, let's address the elephant in the room first. Yes, the all-new exterior design of the Defender 110, which has divided opinion among Land Rover enthusiasts. Unlike the G-Class, which looks identical to its predecessors from all angles, you'll need to stare hard to find similarities between the new Defender and its well-loved ancestors. But it's there. The hard lines, the boxy profile, and those classic off-road touches here and there. Subtle echoes of the past, indeed, but they're there. But don't think of it as a literal homage to the discontinued model. Rather, a handsome redesign to fit modern safety standards and contemporary tastes. The changes, however, don't end with the exterior styling. The luxurious interiors and the plethora of computer-aided functions are a major departure as well. Most significantly, the off-road controls, which can be configured and monitored in real time with the onboard touchscreen display.
Okay, I get it. Hardcore off-roaders prefer to have very little between them, the driver, and the outdoor terrain. Whether that's a romantic notion or it's for safety reasons, I get it. And in a way, the air suspension and the advanced computer system of the new Defender does insulate the driver somewhat. Still, it's an old debate. It's like picking between a vintage propeller plane and a modern state-of-the-art Gulfstream jet. It's a matter of preference, really. But the ultimate answer, get both of them.
And if ever you prefer technology, then you'll be happy to know the new Defender has loads of it, all useful in real-world driving situations, on road or off. When getting through tight spots or navigating hidden obstacles, the camera system is helpful for a car as wide and tall as this. The ability to monitor water levels when wading through flood without getting off is another plus, as is the idiot-proof way to engage all four wheels, adapt the ride to the terrain, and control the vehicle in a variety of potentially dangerous situations. The Defender's new diesel engine provides more than enough power to accelerate a car this huge, and everything about the drive is smooth, refined, and comfortable. You'll forget it's a genuine off-roader, even if it is.
So, what are my initial impressions? Okay, after listening to all the purists and hardcore off-roaders and their reservations about this car, I wasn't really expecting to like it, much more love it, which I do. You see, I can't see anything wrong with this car, whether it's off-road or on-road performance, and frankly, I even like the styling. If there's any fault, maybe it's just too good looking to be taken seriously as a genuine, legitimate off-roader. But then, isn't that reverse snobbery?
In the end, it shouldn't matter which model is better or which generation is best. What matters more is that it can take you beyond where the road ends, overcome obstacles along the way, and bring you to places you never imagined you could reach.
And that's all for this episode of Executive Class. I'm David Celdran. Thanks for watching.